Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and for today's topic we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it because it's something that I'm very passionate about. Once I learned it myself and I realized how it was impacting my day-to-day life, I started to realize how it's impacting other people's day-to-day life and just ultimately how it hinders our progress as we go on in life in our respective paths. Today's topic is going to be about the verbal handicap. Now, if you have an idea on what that might be, go ahead and comment it down below. Let us know your experiences with it and ultimately how you overcame it, if that's the case for you. But the verbal handicap, I would say it's like a limiting belief, but the only difference is it's something that's verbalized. It's verbalized often enough that it becomes something that people believe. So, and it's on a day-to-day basis. You can see it play out in your own day-to-day life based on how you go throughout your day, how you talk to yourself when things go great, when things don't go great. It's how you could be talking to friends and family, and it could be how they talk to themselves and talk to others about their current lot in life. And it's really something that we need to pay attention to because it has a huge impact on us and in our entire lives, and it could be something that can be passed on to the generation that's after us. So let's go ahead and list out some examples of what a verbal handicap is. One of the first ones, as discussed a bit earlier, is like the negative self-talk. It's how you talk to yourself when things don't go your way, even though you've put a lot of time and effort into it. It could be one of those things in life where you constantly doubt yourself and you're always placing your trust in other people to make the best decision for you, which is completely absurd. And it happens a heck of a lot more than people think, especially in some cultural parts, and not some cultural, like in some cultures around the world where people are conditioned from a young age to always place their full trust in those in their community, for example, that are older than them, that'll make the right decision for them. And it blows my mind how people grow up being conditioned to doubt themselves, and then somehow along the way they have their own families, they have kids, and then an individual who doubts themselves and doesn't trust themselves is now raising another generation and is telling them the exact same thing, that they know what's best for them and they don't, therefore they should listen to it. It's huge and it happens everywhere. So it's something to really make note of. The next thing is respecting a lie in the name of religion. So that ties in with what was said earlier about people trusting others. And for some people in their cultural, religious backgrounds, they're conditioned to place their full trust in those older than them. Otherwise, there's repercussions like not being allowed into heaven, hell being a permanent abode, and so on and so forth. So it could come in from several different directions. They could be leveraging anything over anybody else, and it sucks. The next example is just to say that it ultimately revolves around our words and the words of those around us. It is no easy thing, especially when you've grown up and you've made a habit out of being negative with yourself. There's a quote, I forgot who said it, and I forgot the exact wording of it, but a paraphrase of this quote is, do not speak negatively to yourself, for the warrior within will hear it and will be weakened by it. Now, there's never been a truer quote than that. You have no idea how negative self-talk can impact you long term. And it's one of those things where you don't even realize it's happened until way after it's happened. It's incremental, so you won't see it coming. And it's very crucial that you start to reflect on your life even more. Start making note of the verbal handicaps that you're giving yourself, that you're allowing others to bestow on you, that are ultimately limiting you or breaking you down, and counteract it with anything positive. It's in some situations in life, people can argue that you can fight fire with fire, but in this case, the verbal handicap is the fire, and you need to throw an iceberg on it, to say the least. Like it's very real. So one of the ways that I've personally used myself to get out of that cycle, to get out of the cycle where I'm constantly doubting myself and trusting others, or getting out of the negative self-talk, or not allowing other people to be negative with me, is to build confidence. Build confidence in yourself. Once you get out there in the world and you take on hobbies, or you just get out of your normal routine, and even if it's just going for a walk, or if you're walking to a place you usually go to, but you're constantly taking a different route there, even if it takes a bit longer. It could be anything. Confidence can be built in the most simple ways. But once you build it up, one of the things that you realize is that it's okay to make mistakes in life. There's nothing that says that you can't formulate a plan based on whatever it is that you're looking to pursue, take a couple steps in a direction that you see fit, and in the event that it's wrong, what do? You stop, you learn from that mistake that you made, and then you make another decision that hopefully takes you in the right path. But it revolves around you just being conscious and being committed to having your own best interest in mind, and never questioning yourself or allowing others to make those decisions for you. Because one of the things that happens that a lot of people learn too late is when you entrust others to make decisions for you in your own life, if it ultimately turns out to be the wrong decision, guess what happens? They wipe their hands clean of any responsibility because it's too big of a burden to bear. And that goes for failure in general. It's too big of a burden to bear for the most part, because a lot of people don't learn from their failures. They instead are ashamed of their failures, they hold it over themselves, or they allow others to hold it over them. And it hinders their own progress in their own lives. So they're not going to take on your failures if something that they pushed onto you ends up being wrong. So you're ultimately going to be on the receiving end of the result of the decision, for better or worse. Trust yourself. As you get older, you will realize that ultimately it's up to you. If you don't have your best interest in mind and you buy into the narrative that other people do, regardless of who they are, regardless of your cultural, religious background, doesn't matter. If you buy into that flawed narrative, life isn't going to be as good as it's going to be. It's actually going to be a whole lot worse as time goes on. And there's nothing worse than seeing an adult who sets out, starts a family, when they themselves haven't gone out in the world and figured it out for themselves. Because that that's going to lead to a midlife crisis on steroids. Like, it's not going to be fun to watch. And one of the things I've personally observed in older people, although you don't know people's stories and whatnot, those who come off as being the happiest or just being overall content with their life, and you can see it on them, they are the ones who took charge in their own lives and made decisions for themselves, for better or worse, and they've carved out their own path in life. Now, unfortunately, on the other hand, again, you don't know people's story, you don't know what's going on in their lives, but there's people that you'll see who are older who just appear to be miserable. Their health has taken a hit. Physically, you can tell, like obesity. And you can just overall tell that they're carrying around a lot of regret. And that ultimately destroys them as time goes on. Why? Because they realized it once they got older that they could have made decisions for themselves. And it could have ultimately led them to have the same life that they had, which could be a good life. Not to be mistaken with the burdens you carry yourselves. Like, people can tell you to make decisions, and although they might be good, you didn't make it yourself. But you also realize that there's more than one way to get to the right destination in life. There isn't one concrete way that's pushed on you by anybody that'll ultimately be right. So they haul around that burden, and it does not look fun. So with that being said, watch out for the verbal handicaps. Watch out for the limiting beliefs that you impose on yourself or that others are allowed to impose on you. Build your confidence in yourself. Don't worry about the world. Don't worry about getting a date. Don't worry about talking to random people or making new friends. That comes along with it being confident with yourself. That's what you need to focus on first. Everybody's path is ultimately going to be different. I can tell you, hey, here's some pointers. Something that I did myself, which was going out, taking a completely different path to university every day, and picking up new hobbies that got me out of the little comfort zone that I built for myself. And ultimately, as time went on, I built that confidence. I trusted myself more. You can love and respect those around you, especially if they're family members and they're probably pushing what they think is best for you. You can still love and respect them. But you ultimately make it clear to yourself that it's your opinion that matters, because you have your best interest in mind and you're carving out the life you want for yourself. So with that being said, have a good one. Remember, in the comment section below, let me know your thoughts about verbal handicaps, what you've done in your own life to get out of it, and even leave some tips on how you built your confidence in life, and hopefully other people can benefit from it. Have a good day.